You know what? We should have an episode on why I go through the things I do. Meaning, I get y'all laugh at me and stuff like that, and then
because y'all been talking trash, man.
I never talk trash. When was the first? Have I even said anything?
No, just like we was the first. I mean, have
Oh man, I look. Hey man, you gonna have to change like my color because I'm like a black gray.
You're black gray. Hey man, I guess we just got to invest in a new camera, cuz. I don't know if it's a camera.
Because I mean, my qualities of an African man, it's like that pure black, but it's like a shiny like.
That's
brown
Vaseline.
Man, shut up, man.
Yo, you stupid. All right, let's get it cracking. You transition.
Yeah, people heard all this nonsense Mazio talking.
Wow. All right, let's do it. And
Oh dang.
all your stuff is off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your stuff off, Clay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and what up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the After 29 podcast. This is episode 8. Chris Got Rock. I'm Vincent Dunstan, aka Minister V. Let's get it going.
Clayton Voss, the big shoulder brother in the building.
How's it going? Happy to be here.
All right, guys, let's talk to God. Eternal God, our Father, we come to you on this Friday evening, Lord, to give your name honor, glory, and praise, Lord. Lord, we thank you for allowing us to assemble here safely, Lord, and we thank you, Lord, for traveling mercies, Lord. Lord, we just thank you for this podcast, this platform, Lord, that gives us the opportunity and a chance to talk about the topics that are near and dear to our heart, Lord. Lord, we thank you for allowing us to just remain friends for all these years, Lord. We just pray that you will continue to bless us, keep us, and watch over us, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Man, I love the name of the episode.
Yeah, it's funny.
I love the name of the episode. When I saw it in the drive, I started laughing. I was like, "Wow!" I said, "That's clever."
Yeah, I came up with that.
Yeah, he did not. But Chris Got Rock, man. Look, we're not even going to pretend like everybody's not talking about it. It has been the topic of conversation ever since Sunday. Everybody's talking about the debacle that happened at the Oscars this past Sunday, where Chris Rock, he was the host of the Oscars, and he was doing what he normally does. He has to be funny. That's what he gets paid to do, and he was peering the audience and just picking on folks like comedians do, and he picked on a couple people before, and everybody was laughing at it, whether it was corny or not. That's what they got to do. It's on camera, so you can't be the one with the stink face on the camera, in front of millions of people. But then he decides to look down at Jada Pinkett Smith, and he decides to make a joke, and ultimately the joke, got him smacked in the face by Will Smith, Jada Pinkett's husband. Apparently, she didn't think the joke was, really funny. So, we're going to really just dive into the whole thing because we all saw it. We all saw the clips of it. We got a lot of opinions, and so does everybody else on the topic. So, let's not waste time. What are y'all thoughts on the whole situation? Because we all saw it. And like I said, we have a bunch of opinions on this particular topic.
Well, I got, I guess, two trains of thought because just looking at the way he slapped him and stuff, and like the way his hand placement and stuff was after he slapped him, it just looked weird. It looked fake.
Right.
But if it is real, Will, bro, what are you doing, man?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the whole situation was like staged or whatnot. Because I think y'all even heard that people were saying like the views for the Oscars was kind of down. So I mean, what way to make the views go up by having some incident like that where people are like, oh my god, like the slap looked weird. Him walking like after he slapped the dude. I said slapped the dude after he slapped Chris Rock. It looked like Will Smith was about to bust out and start laughing when he was walking back and whatnot. And it's just like I honestly feel if this is real, he didn't do it to protect Jada. I think it was deeper than that. I think that he's been the laughing face or just been on memes for like the past couple of years because of what Jada has pretty much done, throwing him under the bus, whatnot. What she did with August and also Future. I feel like all those things he bottled up inside, and eventually that was the last thing that pretty much ticked him off, and he just went off. I don't really think he did it to protect Jada. I just think he was just fed up. Enough was enough. and he was tired of being the laughing joke or whatever. So
yeah, my whole thoughts on the thing initially was I wasn't. When I first saw the clip, of course, the first thing that went through my head was, oh, that was, it was staged.
Right.
It was fake, because this is Chris Rock and this is Will Smith. Overall, two upstanding dudes, So I was like, and, from what we know about them, they are friends, they've been spotted together on several occasions. So that was my first thought.
Right.
Then after diving into some of the clips that I seen of it and watching the unedited version of it, I was like, okay, maybe it wasn't fake at first.
Right.
Or whatever. I was like, okay, and if it's not, if it wasn't fake, now, like, what the hell is going on? Like, what would really possess you to get up on stage in front of millions and millions of people and slap this man? Okay, granted, he did tell a joke. It was about your wife, and and maybe you were protecting your woman's honor or whatever, anything like that. But the point is, being who you are and in the setting that you're in, what would really possess you. So I had some similar thoughts like you did.
Right.
Like, I'm thinking like, okay, in my mind, this had nothing to overall do with the joke that he made, because if you look at several clips of it, Will Smith is actually laughing at the joke at first. Now, clearly Jada's annoyed when Chris mentions her name. Right. She instantly gets annoyed. You can see that in her face.
Oh, yeah.
So that part's not fake. She instantly rolls her eyes. She's annoyed. Will, however, is laughing at it, and it wasn't the way it looks. It's like it wasn't. He didn't change his tone until he looked at her face or whatever. Now, rightfully so. You see that your wife's annoyed or bothered or hurt by something. Naturally, your whole demeanor is going to change as well, as a husband. But then after that, one of the other clips that I saw, okay, so he gets up, he goes on stage, even Chris Rock thinks that this is the whole thing is a joke, and then he gets slapped or whatever. Now, clearly, he doesn't think it's a joke anymore or whatever. Will Smith, now, I saw another clip afterwards. It looks like when Will walked away, it looks like he has kind of like a smile on his face.
Yeah.
It's like, if I just smack a dude for disrespecting my wife, I don't think I'll have a smile on my face. At least not yet. Right. Maybe later on, because how guys, we can actually brag about things, So, it's maybe one of those where it's like, yeah, I smacked that dude, but this wasn't that, So I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. There's so many different things that keep popping up, and the things that keep popping up is because now we're getting different angles of this. So now you're getting to see reactions in real time for the three people involved. Now, clearly, one way or the other, Chris Rock is stunned. Yeah. Like, he's like, even after the whole fact, like when the next award came up, he just looked really lost. Like, yo, like, I can't believe this happened, or whatever. Like, like, what the hell's going on? I honestly believe that whatever was going through Will Smith's mind, it didn't necessarily have anything to do with Chris Rock. Right. I think that was just a breaking point. Mm-hmm. What really makes me think is going on is that it's been some years and years of things bottled up. Not just what Chris Rock has said about them over the years, but just everything in general. And then now to be put on the spot in a public eye like this. Right. Now, you're always put on the spot in the public eye being who you are, but now you're talking about on the Oscars now, and you're just going to call us out. And it was like, that was just the icing on the cake, and he reacted. Right. So I don't know, given all the facts that we know, well, and I can't even say facts, just what we've seen, do you think Will was wrong for his reaction or the way he responded to that situation?
Absolutely, because we talk about it all the time. Like, as a man, you have to be in control of your emotions and in control of your responses. And I understand that I guess he thought that he was defending his wife's honor. That's just what I assume as a base level of the way he reacted. But that's not how you react. And he's allowed to do that and get away with it because he's Will Smith. He's famous. He's rich. If that was like a regular dude in the audience and Chris was cracking on him and he went up there and slapped Chris Rock, wouldn't you think security would have taken him out and you think he would probably be arrested? Right. Slapping Chris Rock, but Will can get away with it,
right? Regardless of who you are, you know. So I would have thought the same thing, In my opinion on that, as far as like, was he wrong? I would say wrong and right at the same time, because you have the right to you have the right to defend your wife's honor. I would say he was wrong in the way he went about it, So. So that was my biggest thing. So the question is was he wrong? I think he was wrong for the way he responded, because like you said, we do talk about that all the time, about as a man being in control of your emotions, and not even just being a man, being an adult. To be in control of your emotions, and to realize that you can't always just act. You got to think, and especially if I was Will Smith, and and I can only talk about whether it was me or whatever. If I was in that situation, but I'm not going to jeopardize my career, my reputation, and all of that. And I'm not gonna say that I wouldn't do it to defend my wife's honor, but I also have to be mindful of where I am and what I'm doing. Now, some people say, "Oh, well, they shouldn't be acting like that in front of white people." Okay, let me say this. White people are not the parents of black people. Right. So who gives a damn about what white people's opinions are? That's not it. That's not it at all. But to overall, as a grown man, you should be at least considerate of your actions in public. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, if somebody would have walked up to me and slapped me, I have the right to slap them back. Right. No, that's different. But the way I saw it, it was kind of childish. Oh, you said something about my wife, so now I'm gonna get up there and I'm gonna slap you. It was kind of childish. It was kind of schoolboyish, for that. Now, don't get me wrong. My opinion on it, I'm still a huge fan of Will Smith. There's not a Will Smith movie that I have not seen, and there's not a Will Smith movie that I will not see. Right. As long as I'm living. But I don't know. Mazio, what you think? Was he wrong?
Most definitely. I mean, you get into your emotions, and like Clayton had said, and we all have said it, like, once you get into your emotions, you let that take over, and you don't think clearly or whatnot. So I mean, the way I feel about it is that you knew Chris Rock was gonna host or kind of have some type of dealing with the Oscars or whatnot. He's gonna joke, and that's his job. That's a comedian's job or whatnot. So you should be prepared and know that you might get blasted on, or he might like make a joke about you or your wife or whoever you're with or whatever. So I feel like he should have known something like that would have probably happened, especially for them to be good friends or whatever. But for a grown man to go up and slap another grown man, and especially on live TV where millions upon millions of people are watching, that's a definite no. And I applaud Chris Rock for not acting out, because I mean, if a grown man slap you in the face, I mean, of course you want to be ready to tear that dude's head off. I mean, but yeah, I just feel like he should have had. Not saying that Will Smith is not a classy dude, but it's just that he should have had more class in that situation. He should have checked him either in private, or when he was getting his award, he could have said, "Hey, Chris, I love you, man, but what you did, you kind of crossed the line." They did it in some type of classy way to let him know, "Hey, I didn't appreciate what you said about my wife," but for you to just go up there and slap a man and then think you done something, I mean, really, you didn't. And he didn't hurt. I mean, a lot of people feel like maybe he hurt himself or hurt his name or brand or whatever. No,
we'll get to that part later. But I do have to agree with you. Like, as far as Will goes, I really do think that, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be upset about what happened, especially somebody said something about your wife, whether he knew Jada had a health issue or not. Okay, so he said it was wrong and it was tasteless or whatever. Because like Clay said earlier, the joke was not funny. Right. At least not to us. Not to most of us. The joke wasn't funny or whatever. But honestly, to me personally, Chris Rock's comedy is not funny anyway or whatever. But I do feel like, and I agree with you, Mazio, I think Will could have handled that a lot better. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have checked him. I don't think he should have walked up on a stage that large in front of millions of people to check this man. And if you wanted to smack his ass, smack him behind, smack him backstage. Or catch him after the show at the after party, because he was going to be there, or at least he would have had that thing not happen. Then, but if y'all supposed to be friends, that's like if one of us, said something about each other's wives or something like that, and you got offended, I would expect you to check me on it, but check me in an appropriate setting. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Get mad though, because that you're supposed to. Right. But check me in an appropriate setting. Don't check me or smack my ass in the front of the church or something like that. And first of all, I ain't Chris Rock. We gonna throw hands. But that that's just my opinion. I thought he could have used a little bit more tact in that instance. Right. Now later, let tact go out the window.
But the thing is, he wasn't trying to check him, because when you check somebody, like, you gonna say something like put him in line.
Right.
I think it was more about humiliating him because it's on a worldwide stage. You like slapping the dude. And like he didn't punch him. Like we all know as men, if you get slapped, that's worse than getting punched.
Yeah.
Because it's a humiliation tactic. So I don't think he was really trying to check Chris. He was just trying to humiliate him and show that he had some kind of dominance. I guess if it is real, just based on like, you know, how he's been played out, he's been the going meme for the last couple of years. Maybe if this is real,
right?
Maybe that's his way of like saving his face and showing that he's still alpha and like.
And that was the same exact thing I was gonna say. I agree with you 100% because I thought like, hey, you know, maybe he like when that happened after Chris Rock made his joke, he's like, yo, this is the perfect opportunity for me to show that I'm alpha, like I'm the alpha male.
Right.
That, you know, all these people clowning me, saying I'm a punk or whatever, I'm gonna prove them wrong by slapping.
Yeah,
Chris
but
Rock
you
in the
can't
face,
prove that you the man when you 6'3", you built like, and you know, so and I'm gonna get to this point in a little bit later because you know, Will Smith is not a little dude. You know, Chris Rock is I think my height. I think he's like 5'8", maybe 5'9", and he's barely 165, 70 pounds. Right. He's a little dude compared to Will Smith. So you can't prove that, oh, I'm big dog, when it's like when you Goliath and that's David. You know what I'm saying? That's not the way to do it. Right. If that was your intent.
And they were saying that, like, you know, like Chris Rock came out and said that, like, for years he was bullied when he was younger, and he was even when he was first started SNL, he said he got robbed. I think he said he got punched in the face and robbed. Like when he first started doing SNL, he said he got like a lot of trauma with like bullying and getting robbed and getting beat up. Right. So a lot of people say they commend Chris for not responding. I don't think it was in him to like retaliate at that moment because I think he's so used to being beat up and beat. Right. I don't think that's part of him like fighting back.
Right.
And I know that I was watching something and the guy was like saying, well, you know, you can tell Chris Rock is the type of person that always get hit, like slapped or punched in the face or whatever. And I guess another thing adding to this will be the last thing I say about the Will Smith part is that I think it was a clip I saw where Will Smith was on Arsenio Hall show or whatever, and he was cracking on like the bald head. Yeah, and I'm like, so this dude is a cameraman or something like that, and he's taking your joke.
He's part of the band or something.
Yeah, okay, yeah, and
bass player.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was a bass player, and he was cracking him, saying like, you know, he's a bald head dude. He has to shine his head and stuff like that. Yeah. And he's embarrassing him in front of millions of people. But he took the joke. Yeah. And I guess that's the part where I'm so confused. If you know they're best friends or whatever, and you're cracking jokes, like why should you be upset? Like for example, Clayton and myself crack jokes on each other all the time. I don't get in my feelings and go up here and slap him, or he doesn't slap me or anything like that. Or
so I guess one of the things with that is, and now that was like 20-something years ago,
right.
Clearly. But not only that, this was a man cracking on another man about his hair. Now men, we're naturally, you know, we go bald a lot. So most of the time when we're bald, it's either because they just receded or just because, you know, we cut it that way. Right. And in most cases with a woman, if she's bald, it's usually for a reason. Not saying that some women just don't naturally want to go bald, but in most cases, it's not the case.
But dudes don't. But some dudes are sensitive about their hair too, because you know a lot of them won't let it go, and like people crack on them for being bald. Like dudes still are sensitive about their hair too, just as a woman would. But like, so I don't think like making the genetic difference like makes it okay for her to be upset about her hair. I understand black women have, you know, a connection with the hair. They're sensitive about the hair, but still some men I'm sure are sensitive about their hair as well when they're going bald, because you know you had this all your life and you're just losing it, you can't do anything about it. So I don't think that's something you can really.
Well, you know, and another thing is that I was thinking about, just playing devil's advocate, that you know, a man cracking on a man is one thing, but when I guess when you go past a man and you start cracking on his wife, I guess that's another thing. I guess that's another instance. Not saying that she shouldn't be fair game. Okay, so for instance, during the I think it was during the 2012 campaign of Barack Obama, the second time he was running, you know, people really started attacking Michelle, and Barack sounded like a brother for a moment there, and he came out and when they was on stage, and he was like, say what you will about me, I understand this is politics, you know, and you know attacks are going to come. But he straight up said, like a brother, he was like, leave my wife's name out of your mouth. And that's what he told Mitt Romney. He was like, leave my wife's name out of your attacks, you know, and leave my wife and my children out of this. If you would have say what you will about me, and he straight up told Mitt Romney, leave my wife out of this, you know. So it's natural for a man, especially when it's with another man, you don't. And I guess it's an unspoken rule when it's when you got a beef, or even if you're just playing around, you leave the man's wife out of it. You leave the man's wife and his family out of that. You want to attack me, you go for it. So it's one of those unspoken things.
So can I ask you this question?
Sure.
So, and dealing with the same situation that you brought up. So I mean, of course, they're not comedians or anything like that. But for a comedian, anybody's fair game. I mean, you're in that building.
I agree.
So, I mean, to a degree, I do understand that, like, they're competing to become like the next president or whatever. So you doing whatever you can to make that person look little, even talking about his wife. Okay, for that, I could definitely understand you checking the person or whatever about that. But for the whole thing with this whole thing with Will Smith and Chris Rock, I don't get it. I mean, and like we all said, the joke's it wasn't even that funny. I mean, it was a G.I. Jane joke, and
right. And I understand. Okay, she got alopecia,
right?
But it ain't a life-threatening illness.
Yeah.
And like one of my favorite guys, like to watch on YouTube, is MTR.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, he has testicular cancer. He was saying that if he was in that audience,
that's right.
and Chris made a testicular cancer joke, he said I would have still laughed. Like, he's a comedian. He said I wouldn't have been offended. But that's his personal preference.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, she's entitled to feel how she feels about what he said. But a lot of people keep saying, "Oh, well, she's got a condition." But it's alopecia.
I mean, it's a condition nonetheless, whether it's life threatening or not. But at the end of the day, when this actually takes us to the next question. Was Chris Rock wrong for what he did? And my opinion was, again, yes and no. So, because I can see it from both sides. Overall, do I think he was wrong? No, because that man's a comedian. This is his job. This is what he does. Sometimes, as a comic, do your jokes go? Do you cross the line? Yes, sometimes. But being a fan of comedy the way that I am, I love comedy. Mm-hmm. I love to laugh, and I'm one of those people that laugh at everything. Right. And I guess for me personally, I'm not a sensitive person. So when I hear jokes about a lot of things, and it could even be death. People talk about death, they talk about illness. There's different jokes about almost everything, and when you realize the atmosphere of comedy, you take yourself out of a sensitive mode because you're in the presence of, first of all, most comics, and if you know the person, and I think in Will Smith's case, where I think he was wrong, y'all are friends, this man, and Chris Rock is overall known to be a very upstanding guy. He doesn't get in trouble. He stays out of the spotlight. Yeah, he went through a divorce, but that's not a bad thing. Sometimes relationships don't work out. Right. But overall, Chris Rock is an upstanding guy. He doesn't get in trouble. He does a lot for blacks, and he does a lot, for the culture. And like I said, overall, an upstanding guy. Mm-hmm. Yes, he does comedy. Yes, sometimes he does push the envelope or whatever. But it's comedy at the end of the day. Right. And my thing is, and this is my opinion, when it's a joke, when I know it's a joke, I know, regardless of what you say and what you pick on me about, I know the intent was just for a laugh or whatever. Mm-hmm. It wasn't truly to humiliate me, and it wasn't truly to cause harm. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's just like, okay, so some don't know. I recently was diagnosed with a condition called Bell's palsy. Bell's palsy is the temporary paralysis of muscles and nerves in one side of the face or the other. Mm-hmm. So right now, my entire left side of my face, the left side of my face is completely paralyzed, right? Okay, a cousin of mine calls me one day, we was talking about it, and then he calls me Two-Face, the character from Batman, one side of his face, it's a little, it's a little messed up. It doesn't move and stuff like that. I didn't get offended. It was a joke because I know my cousin didn't say it to humiliate me, nor was he trying to tease me about my condition. It was a joke, which means I knew it was without the intent of harm.
And you have a personal relationship.
And I have a relationship with him, as Chris Rock and Will Smith have with one another. So you should have known. You have to, when you judge comedy, you have to, especially when it's personal like that, you have to know the person first. That way you can establish their intent. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's remove that part. It's comedy. Comedy is supposed to be one of those avenues where that's a safe space to almost say whatever. Right. Sometimes do you cross the line? Absolutely. Is the joke not funny sometimes? Absolutely. But you should never get so offended. Right. It's comedy. Mm-hmm. And first off, you knew who was hosting, and you sat your ass there in the front of the audience. You knew he was going to get y'all. Right. He's been getting y'all for years. So what did you expect?
And wasn't he sitting close to the front anyway?
He was sit dead smack in the middle.
Okay, yeah. So
you knew what was up. Mm-hmm. So overall, I don't think Chris Rock was wrong. if you really want to get on the sensitive side of it, could he have, if he knew about the whole alopecia thing, maybe he shouldn't have went there. Maybe. But at the end of the day, comedy is supposed to be that safe space to say whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah.
And the moment we start censoring comedy to not offend anybody, there won't be comedy.
Right.
There won't be a genre of comedy at all. Because now you won't be able to say Jack.
You remember like the old school comics where they
Oh,
talk
yeah.
like Bernie Mac and everybody. They
First
talk
off,
about,
there was no censoring Bernie Mac.
Yeah.
Bernie Mac talked about everybody.
Right.
Bernie Mac called you a faggot. He called you a cracker. He called you a dumb nigga. Whatever.
Yeah.
Bernie Mac said it. And if you get offended by these comedians today, you would have just hung yourself, 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
So I don't think he was wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think he was wrong. And honestly, it was a G.I. Jane joke. He said G.I. Jane, like he didn't like call her a dumb bald-headed trick or, something crazy. Like, because you can, as a comedian, you can go too far.
Yeah.
Just like your boy, you was talking about Michael Richards or whatever. So I think you can cross the line, but at the end of the day, it's still subjective. So that line could be, different for different people. But again, you're sitting right there in the front because, like, I've been to comedy shows and sit right there in the front, and the first thing I think is, like, we sit right in the front, the comic can
They
see
about
us.
to get mine.
It might be a chance that he gonna say something about me or whoever I'm with. So, knowing that you're in front of a comedian, it's a chance that he's gonna crack on you. You just gotta be like, okay, it's all in fun. So I don't understand why she was so sensitive about it. I mean, okay, yeah, she got alopecia and stuff, but at the end of the day, if you know Chris Rock, you worked with Chris Rock, I'm sure he's been around you. I'm sure he don't just crack jokes when he working. I'm pretty like when you're a comedian, you always cracking jokes
Right.
and
Yeah.
all the time. Even as just regular people, we crack jokes on each other. So
Right.
I just don't understand why she was so offended or why Will took it and thought that was the best.
Well, and my thing is, it's okay that she got offended because she's the one with the health condition. Maybe she didn't think it was funny. She's not the one who went on stage and smacked Chris Rock. It was Will Smith. So my thing is, and first of all, being who you are, you understand the dynamics of comedy. Even though Will Smith is not a comedian per se, but a lot of Will Smith's shows and his movies, there's a comedic sense and a tone to them, so he understands the atmosphere of comedy. So for you to get to that point where you feel like I gotta go up on stage and smack this dude,
So, but again, that goes back to the relationship with Will and Jayla, because if he felt like that was the best choice at that time to respond to what Chris said, there's an underlying problem within their relationship that he thought that was the best course of action.
right?
I mean, and to kind of piggyback onto that, maybe he felt like, he tried everything else and maybe that was his only type of action that he needed to show Jada that he meant business or whatever. But still, regardless, that was wrong. Anyway, to answer the question, was Chris wrong? I don't think he was wrong at all. I mean, that's his profession. That's his job. That's what he's there to do, to make people laugh, to make people
and he was doing his job.
Yeah, he was doing his job. So for people to sit up there and point the finger and say, "Oh, Chris Rock is a bad man," no, he's not. He's there to do. He's doing his job, and I mean, and I feel like he did it well. On top of that, he wasn't crack. I mean, he didn't say, "Hey, Jada, you're bald headed. Like, do something about it," or "You look like one of them chia pets or something like that." He didn't do that.
You like a little milk dud or something like
Right,
that.
exactly. He didn't
Because
do
if it
that.
was me, I ain't gonna lie. I push the envelope. I say some shit that I probably have no business.
And there's been comments who've been on those award shows who said worse.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. And the thing is, which I don't understand, is like, they're friends and whatnot, so he should know that, hey, they're gonna crack on him and whatnot. But another thing is, it's just like, two couples going to a comedy show or whatever, and then they get cracked on, then they get upset. Why are you upset? You put yourself in that situation. You went into that atmosphere.
First off, you went to a comedy
Right,
show.
exactly, and that's what.
And this is common at a comedy show.
Exactly. So if you're so insensitive and you're gonna get upset and you're gonna get like your feelings hurt or whatever and cry or get upset, do not go.
Yeah.
Especially for the Oscars. If you knew, I'm quite sure you knew beforehand Chris Rock was gonna be there. If you knew that, like, you're kind of sensitive about that topic or whatever, or your hair or head or whatever, don't go.
Right.
Or
Wear a wig.
Wear a wig. Yeah.
So comedian Kathy Griffin made an interesting point, and it was actually something that I was thinking of too. She said, because of Will Smith's behavior, now comics all over the world have to worry about, if I tell the wrong joke, am I going to get attacked? And now you're going to have an instance where comedians are going to be on stage and going to automatically be defensive. If somebody even starts to heckle them, they're going to automatically get it's gonna put them in an unsafe space mentally and physically, because now you don't even, which can throw off your whole set, because now you're out of your element. Now I'm thinking of somebody like Kevin Hart. You know, for his size, you know, he works out and stuff like that, but Kevin Hart is he's not the biggest guy in the world.
Right.
You know, and it does make you wonder, just because of that, what's going to stop the average Joe from thinking like, oh yeah, that nigga, oh, he cracked on me, yeah, I'm about to go run up on stage, because security can't stop everybody.
Right, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? So, do you really think that he opened the door for comedians to just be attacked now? Because all it takes is one to do it for somebody to say, "Oh yeah, now I can do it." If Will Smith can do it,
I honestly think that probably did open the door for that. Like they're saying, "Oh well, you know, Will Smith did it." If someone says something I don't like and it's true, or I have this insecurity about myself and I don't like it, and you coming up and calling me out in front of people or crowd or whatever, then yeah, I gotta check you or hit you or whatever. And it shouldn't be like that. I mean, why should they hold themselves back and they're not like their craft? That's what they're born to do or whatever. And why should they hold back their craft because you're in your feelings and you don't like what they say? If you don't like it, don't put yourself in that situation. It's pretty much, and it's not the same thing, but it's like going, like, you know, two people arguing or whatever, and you go up there trying to stop a fight or whatever. You're taking the chance of either getting your tail whooped or you hitting that person or things going south side.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
because everybody's not Chris Rock,
right?
And not this. And I'm not putting the brother down,
right?
Because clearly he understood the situation. For one, just based on his background, he's not really one to stand up for himself. And then two, you just got smacked by a guy that's much larger than you are, and who's, you know, who probably physically could have dragged you, you know, if it came down to it. But let's just say if that was, you know, not all comedians are small. You know, there's plenty of comedians who are just as built like Will Smith, and somebody run up on them.
Like Godfrey.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's not a little guy at all. So if somebody runs up on Godfrey, and Godfrey, now he has to make a decision like, do I protect myself physically, or do I whoop this person's ass and I jeopardize my career? You know, and my reputation, and lose everything that I work for. So, you know, I really don't think Will thought that through,
right,
or whatever, because now you just opened up a whole can now of unlimited.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. You know, but to me, there is no honor in attacking someone you know you can win the fight with. There's no honor in that. It's almost, and I hate to say it this way, but I will. It's almost like a bitch move. Come on, you know the dude.
I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at it.
Now,
because think about it, like if we're talking about like a country trying to dominate another country, you're not going to attack a country that you know you can't beat.
Well, no, but that's different. But we're talking about an individual. Yeah, absolutely. That's like Indonesia waging war against the U.S. Like, really? Right. Were you trying to commit suicide? Right. You know. But overall, to do something to dominate a person that you know for a fact you can beat, what was the point? Right. Because in this situation for you, which you don't, that's like a man Terrell size hitting a woman that's like 5'2" or something like that. It's a lose-lose for you. I don't give a damn what she said about you or what she did. As long as she didn't physically threaten your life, it's a lose-lose for you. Right. Either you got punked by a girl, or you're going to be known as an abuser, you know, or a bully. Right. And in this case, it almost makes Will look like a bully, because you physically attacked a man over words. Yeah. You know, when you would think when you're in your 50s, you've gotten past that, you know, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words would never hurt me. Yeah. Apparently that hasn't sunk in.
Yeah. And see, that's the
thing.
He's
in his 50s.
And you said it. It's just words. Like, and we shouldn't let words hurt us or whatever. I mean, yeah, like you might be sensitive about a certain topic, and some things might be sensitive that you have not dealt with yet, and that's cool. But I'm saying, don't put yourself in these situations that you know that people, I mean, that are doing their craft will call you out on it, or just make a joke about it. And it also made me think about the post that I told y'all about when we were on the phone. Someone said that, well, why can't comedians pick on other things instead of picking on people, whatever?
Everybody has their niche.
Right.
Some people pick on people. Some people pick on politics. Some people's whole comedy set is based on politics,
Right.
or whatever, and making fun of world events. Some people crack on people,
Right, and then
or whatever.
comedians even crack on themselves as
They
well.
have
So,
special shows for
Lavelle
roasting.
Crawford, 95% of Lavelle Crawford's set is picking on himself.
right.
Ralphie May, when he was alive, now that dude was funny,
Yeah.
but that dude, his whole set was picking on his size and picking on his family. Gary Owens, he picks on his whole comedy set is based on having a black wife, and he's the only white guy in his family. That's his niche.
Bruce, he always cracking
Yeah,
somebody in the
Bruce,
audience.
yes, so they all have to. What's that? I think it was George Carlin. George Carlin picks on the fact that he's an older white dude and he hangs around a lot of black guys.
Right.
That's what his comedy is based on. So you cannot pick and choose. And I was telling somebody this the other day. I was like, you cannot pick and choose what a comic can and cannot say. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some topics that's kind of like quote unquote off. Those are like, don't touch those. Because if you are let's just say, for example, a white comic, you don't really want to get up there and do a whole set about niggas this and niggas that. That might get your ass whooped.
Right.
But that's not to say that you can't talk about whatever. Because like I said, comedy again is supposed to be that safe space to talk about whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But it's like, I guess the last thing I'll say on that is like, so, of course, Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock are probably the GOATs in comedy or whatever right now. So it's like, why should I hold my craft back to make your film, like, make you feel okay and to protect your feelings? It's like pretty much like, for example, Michael Jordan. You're telling, it's pretty much like you want him to hold back in making, like, winning games or whatever, or being great.
Right.
I just don't understand that. So
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't think that they should, but at the same time, now will we get to that now because of this situation? Because you're going to have some comics, not all, but you'll have a comic like Chris Rock, who somebody who doesn't really want to deal with a confrontation.
Right.
So they may start to rethink their comedy, and I hope they don't.
Yeah.
My thing is, beef up your security, say what you want to say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, I have a question, as we move along. And you're a married man, so you and your wife are, and actually prior to us starting the podcast today, you were telling us about an incident. Do you think Jada bears any of the blame for Will's reaction? Do you think, as his wife, should she have tried to like stop him? Because I would think, like, if me and my wife go out, and this is just my opinion, I'm not a married man, so I don't know or whatever, but I would like to think that if me and my girl was out, or me and my wife was out, and I got into a situation, yes, if it's physical, if somebody attacks us physically, of course I'm going to protect my wife, and I'm going to protect myself as well. But if it's not a physical thing like that, maybe it's just some words, and I'm about to, I got this great job, I got a career, I got all these things going for me, I would think that my wife would be thinking like, okay, yes, I want him to protect me, but at the same time, I also don't want him to jeopardize his career, his reputation, and things like that. Like, you got to think before you act, because I don't want him to go to jail, this, that, and the third. Do you think she bear just a little bit of the blame for not intervening in her husband's reaction?
Yeah, I feel like she's 100% to blame on that. Now, yet again, I didn't see all the camera views or anything like that. I just saw the one, so I'm just going based upon what I saw. It like she didn't stop him at all. Like, he just walked up there freely, slapped the man, and when he sat back down. From what I think, the things that are like some of the sources or like the information I read, that she didn't console him. It was
she clapped.
Yeah, she clapped,
Yeah,
and then it was Denzel,
Sam Jackson.
who?
Sam Jackson.
Oh yeah, Sam Jackson and Tyler Perry comforted, and it was someone
And
else.
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper. So all these dudes are comforting you, but your own wife is not doing that. But he's protecting you out for your honor, and you're not even doing your part to console him or whatnot.
My thing is, he's protecting your honor, and things like that. And I get it. He's protecting because you're his wife. That's what a husband does. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, isn't your job as a wife to also protect your husband, to make sure he doesn't make an ass of himself
It goes both
as well?
ways.
Even though he's protecting your honor, I want you to protect my honor, but I also don't want you to lose everything that you've worked hard for.
Right.
And I don't know. I personally think she should have intervened or whatever.
I agree.
And you don't. Okay, when you 16 years old and your boyfriend beat somebody up, because they said something about you, yeah, you clap. You applaud that. But when you're in your 50s and your 40s and even in your 30s, you have a different perspective and you don't applaud that. You like, no, I don't want you to do that. Or I stand like, hey, babe, don't.
Right.
I appreciate you going. At least the thought that you are going to protect my honor is enough for me. Right. I don't want you to make an ass of yourself or, because not only do you represent yourself, you represent your family.
Right. That's true. And I mean, like, for example, this is like, for example, I'm driving and I get upset. My wife says, hey, calm down. Cause we have kids in the car, you blow your horn,
absolutely,
and everything like that. So it's like, she should have been there to be that safe place for him.
Or at least a voice of reason.
Right. Exactly. Because I feel like she should have been there to say, hey, Will, look, I understand. I am upset about it, but look, let's kind of talk to him on the side, or if you need to say it during your speech or whatever. But don't go up there and slap the man or whatever. She did no type of talking.
Even if she didn't know what he was going to do, the fact that he was getting up,
right?
It should have been because Jada's no. First of all, if you know Jada Pinkett Smith is no. She's not a quiet person.
Right.
She's loud. She's boisterous. She's kind of eccentric at times, or at least her personality comes off that way. So she's not like some quiet little mouse. She could have easily said, "Well, no." She could at least said something. I think in that moment, maybe he still would have, but at least she attempted to save face for her husband.
Right. Or she could even got up and chase after the man. I don't know, but the thing is, and the reason why I say it's 100%, because I don't know what Will Smith was feeling or what was his emotions at the time, and I believe that maybe it was all those other things that was going on with August and Future, whatever. So that's why I said I feel like all this was a build up, and it was her fault for putting this stuff on blast and making everybody know about it. Now he's like being on memes and getting people cracking on him and stuff like that, calling him a simp and all this and that. If you wouldn't have done that and put your business out there, none of this probably would have happened, or maybe I could have talked about it one-on-one.
It's like a trickle down effect.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't say that. She's 100% blamed, because at the end of the day, we always talk about accountability. Okay. He got to be accountable for his actions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will made that choice.
Right.
Yes, we do. Women do have to understand the influence that you have on your mate. Yes, women do have a lot of influence on what we do and the way we respond to things. But
he's still a grown ass man.
At the end of the day, you 50 plus. You've been on this planet 50 plus years. You have been very successful, and you know the ramifications of your actions to your career, your money, to your life. So yeah, Jada could have helped the situation by saying something, but at the end of the day, Will made the choice,
right?
And that's what he chose to do was to slap Chris Rock. So I don't know if she bears part of the blame of what Will did. I don't think so. She could have helped the situation, absolutely.
Right.
Well, potentially.
Right.
Depends, because sometimes people say stuff to us, even not just like our significant others, like our friends. We don't always listen because at the end of the day, it's our choice.
Right.
How we respond.
So maybe I shouldn't say it was 100% her. I would say it's 50-50 since they're married. She had some blame and he did too.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever did something that your wife didn't really agree with, and she told you she didn't agree with it, but you did it anyway?
Yeah.
So no matter what she could have said, because we don't know, that's all speculative. She could have. We don't even know if she said anything when he was walking up stage, because we can only see what the camera showed us. And another point too, when you were saying that Tyler Perry and everybody consoled Will. We saw that. We didn't see what happened behind the scenes. We didn't see every camera angle. So we can only base that on what we saw. So we don't. It's a lot of things that we didn't see. So we don't know what Jada did or what Jada didn't do.
And you're right, because and that's why I said that I'm just going based upon what I saw. So that's what I interpreted from what I saw. But you're definitely right about that. I agree.
Yeah. At the end of the day, Will made the choice to do what he did. So I can't say that Jada bears the blame for what Will did. I don't believe that. But could she help? Could she have helped in that situation? Absolutely. She could have tried to help. Would it have made a difference? We don't know.
So my thing is, say for example, she didn't do anything, like she didn't talk to him or anything, like I said, which I thought from one of the videos I saw, whatever. You still wouldn't blame her for that, not trying to stop him or trying to talk reason into him? Because well,
let me ask you this.
Okay.
Let's say that like me and you were talking. I'm like, hey man, I'm about to go rob this bank tomorrow. You're like, hey Clay, don't do it. That's not a good idea. What's going to happen afterwards to you if you get caught, it's going to be devastating. You're going to be in jail for however many years. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you got a good point. But then the next day, you see me on the news getting caught for robbing the bank. Do you have? Is it your fault that I still robbed that bank?
No, because I tried to talk reason.
You at least made the attempt.
Yeah, I made the
Right.
attempt.
And
But if I didn't say anything, then yeah, I mean, I would be.
So I agree. Yeah, I don't think she bears all the blame.
Right.
I from what we've seen, and we did see this from different angles, she did not. From what we saw, she did not make. No, actually, we can't even say we think, because they did show everything that happened from the moment he made the joke, her reaction, and Will going up on stage. There was no cut in between it. There was a camera on them at that moment or whatever. And because, like I said, there were different camera angles. So she did not make the attempt to stop her husband. Does she blame does she bear the blame for some of that? I think just a little bit, only just because she never made the attempt or whatever. Now, so my dad is actually listening to the podcast, and so he made a comment here, and so basically what he was saying is that, you know, if she's that sensitive, you know, or, you know, if she's that sensitive because her hair is going bald, you know, especially in, you know, in the atmosphere of comedians, you know how comedians are.
Right.
And if you're that sensitive because you're going bald, either not come at all,
Right.
or put on a wig.
Right.
And I don't say she should have had to put on a wig, but at least prepare yourself or whatever. You are in the atmosphere and in the presence of comedians. They joke on people.
Right.
That's what they do. And then another point my dad made was, you know, he said he felt like Will Smith was being a little phony because, you know, about the whole joke. So he asked a question that I wanted to ask you guys anyway. You know, so my dad says, do you think Will Smith would have done that if it was, you know, The Rock or Terry Crews or one of them? Now, you guys know my thoughts on that. So my thoughts on that is twofold. One, it depends. It just depends on maybe who it was, or it depends on maybe the space. If that was the first time one of those dudes had said something about his wife, I don't think he really would have reacted. I would like to say that for a lot of the people that's maybe chastising Will Smith, saying like, oh, he only did that because it was Chris Rock. I was like, let's get one thing straight. Will Smith is not Chris Rock. He is not a small dude. Will Smith, everybody is so hung up on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and the reputation that he has that we forget that this man is built like hell. This man is 6'3", 200 and something pounds. Most of that is muscle. You know, he's no small dude. So do I think if it was somebody else, would he have done that? Maybe. The only difference that I see is that the outcome would have been different. Chris Rock chose not to, and rightfully so, because, you know, in a hand-to-hand combat, I don't think he would have won anywhere in that contest. If he would have smacked The Rock or one, I think Will Smith would have got his ass whooped. But I mean, you know, there would have been a counter attack there. But because it was Chris Rock, he wasn't going to do anything. But and I'm not saying that Will Smith would have done that if it was Terry Crews or somebody like that who was clearly way bigger than he was. But I did just want to point out that for some of the people that was criticizing him based on that, I was like, Will Smith is no little dude, and I don't think he's a punk at all. I think that was a big move that he pulled with Chris Rock. Yes. But let's not forget, that's not a small dude there. He's no Snoop.
Yeah,
he's not Snoop. I'm not saying that Snoop Dogg's a punk, but he's not built like Snoop. He's not 6'5", skinny as hell. That dude is built.
But I mean, he's a bigger guy. He's like 6'3" or whatever. He's bigger than Chris Rock. But we all know if it was someone like The Rock or some, he would have considered it more.
Right. Now I don't think he would have considered that. Yeah.
So I'm not saying that he wouldn't have done it, but I think he would have stopped a little bit longer to decide if I'm going up here.
It wouldn't have been a joke, get mad, go on stage. Right. He would have thought about that for a second.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Because, I mean, like, for me, if I was in a Will Smith situation, I'm looking at the I'm like, dang. Or Mike Tyson, for example. Do I really want to go smack this dude? I don't really think
there's anybody that would really walk up and slap Mike Tyson. Man.
I'm like,
Mike could talk about your mama. You might, you're like, I gotta defend my mom, but I'm about to take this L. Let's not say Mike. Let's go with somebody else. Oh, I don't know too many people. I don't think Terry Crews would walk up and slap Mike Tyson.
But I mean, the thing is, like, that. I mean, why would I want to sit up here and talk? I mean, like, go up there and slap this dude in the face, knowing he's twice my size. I slap in the face, I get beat down in front of a whole bunch of people, whatever. I mean,
yeah, because that would just ruin what you're trying to do. You're trying to assert your dominance on this dude and embarrass this dude for talking about your wife. And I think if you have to consider if this dude has a potential to defeat me, you might not do
Right.
it.
Because, I mean, normally in life, if we have to question ourselves, is this really what I need to be doing? Then most times you don't need to be doing it. So,
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because there's times I get that little angel and that little devil on my shoulder, and I do think sometimes, like, should I do this? And sometimes I be like, all right, God,
Yep.
Satan won this round, and I go and and I know that I probably shouldn't be doing this one, and I do it anyway. So yeah, Clay, you know. So my dad made a comment, and he said I don't think he would have went on stage at all. That's when Will would have waited. He would have waited and approached him in the back,
Right.
Behind closed doors. And I actually have to agree with that. Like I said, again, I just wanted to point out, I don't think Will Smith is a punk, and I don't think that he's afraid of any of those other guys, but I do have to agree. I do think that had it been somebody else that clearly is, not as small as Chris Rock, and, maybe hasn't, I guess if you want to use the word, like tormented or chastised him or picked on him for many years, I think he would have used a little bit more, tact. Or at least he would have changed his approach about it, and like I said, did it backstage, or maybe approached him personally, did it a little bit later, versus like I'm gonna do this now, and I'm going to embarrass him in front of millions of people,
Right.
Because I think that's where that's wrong,
Right.
So I do think, and I said this before, I think it could have used a lot of tact,
Right.
in that situation.
So if I may, I have two questions that I just thought about.
Oh yeah, like you a guest or something. If I may,
Oh yeah,
it's like a British guest. Man, you want some crumpets and tea too?
I mean, I do like
Excuse me,
things.
brother. Excuse me, brother. If I may,
Would you like
But no,
a spot of tea.
would you like a pot of tea?
Where you from? Man, I thought you was from Liberia, not England.
But no, it made me think about two questions. The first question is, do you feel like some of this kind of has, like, I guess Will Smith's mental health? Do you think that kind of probably, or it could have been a thing, like his mental health wasn't?
Potentially. I mean, that's always a potential.
Yeah. And then my second question is, you remember what Tiffany Haddish said about the G.I. Jane joke? She was saying that she feels like that was a very inappropriate joke because that was like I guess back in the day when G.I. Jane came out, people were picking on her because she was manly, so it was like a type of like a gay
insult.
joke or insult. or something like
I
that.
think in that situation, Tiffany Haddish should shut up. I think she was just trying to be on the popular side because no one really criticized. First off, G.I. Jane was a soldier in the army. So of course there's always that masculine aspect to that because it's a soldier in the army. So I don't think that had anything to do with the joke. It was literally a bald head joke.
Yeah.
And to take it any further than that, I think is to be reaching. And I think that was her getting her couple of minutes of fame because they asked her or whatever. So I don't think that. But given the fact that Will Smith won the Oscar that night and he was nominated, and a lot of us felt like, if they were, as long as they didn't snub him again as they have many times before, because we've all been waiting for Will Smith to get an Oscar for years because we've always felt like he deserved it. I ain't gonna ask because clearly the drama with Chris Rock overshadowed his moment. Do you think that really took away the significance of winning that Oscar that night because of that? Like, do you really just think like it just watered it down? Like, it's like, okay, he won, great. But there was no real excitement to it because everything was still on the whole altercation with Chris Rock.
I mean, I haven't seen King Richard,
King Richard is pretty good, man. You need to check it out.
but if it watered it down, like my whole thing is I haven't listened to everything he said in his acceptance speech.
Right.
My whole thing is I heard parts of it, like he was up there like crying and talking about how in
He's
Hollywood,
an actor. Them tears come naturally.
that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
But like how he was saying, like in Hollywood, you have to, deal with people like talking about you. Not like he was talking about all these things that you have to deal with. For me, is if you already know these are the things that you have to deal with on just putting your work out there and perfecting your craft. If this is something you deal with on the daily throughout many years that you've been acting, how come when Chris Rock said something about your wife, how come you responded in this way, but you haven't responded in that same manner prior, when you were saying you have to always deal with this type of stuff in Hollywood already. So like,
Right.
if you're already equipped well enough to deal with this, to make your money, how come on a night when you're being awarded for what you do, and you still run into that same type of criticism, or you just run into like some strife? Why did you choose to handle it that way?
Right.
And it just contradicts what you're saying.
Yeah, because it's like, where was your rationale then? If you can say that in a speech, because now you gotta say you gotta save face now, and you gotta win sympathy. And first of all, these celebrities, they're their own PR managers first and foremost. They know how to save face. So, and I'm not saying that the things that he said in his speech wasn't sincere or whatever, but I do question a lot of it, because I do feel like he was trying to save face. And if you are talking about that type of rationale, like you're pointing out there that there's a lot that you have to deal with, you have to be strong, this, that, and the third. If you really felt that way, why didn't you give that man an apology right then and there? Yeah. First of all, like he has so-called come out and apologize on Twitter. Damn a Twitter apology. Right. You embarrass me in public, I want my apology in public. Right. I don't want a Twitter apology. Right. You know what I'm saying? And even though it's after the fact now, I do believe that he owes that man an apology, but he owes him a very public apology. Right. I want a video, I want a call, something. I don't want no words on Twitter, because first of all, your child or your manager could have typed that. Right. As far as I'm concerned,
for sure.
I
definitely feel like it definitely watered down the success of him winning an Oscar. I mean, now in like 20 years from now, people say, "Oh man, you remember when Will Smith won an Oscar?" Oh, but that was the same time he smacked Chris Rock. So people are more into what he did.
We're always going to associate one with the other.
Right.
The night Will Smith won his first Oscar, that we waited years for him to win, because he deserved it, because he's an excellent actor.
Right.
He's one of my favorites. But now, the whole talk of Will Smith winning an Oscar is gone. It's gone, and it's going to always be associated with slapping Chris Rock.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, I agree. It overshadowed it. Like, it took away from his big moment.
Right. And I guess, and I didn't listen to his acceptance speech, because I think someone was saying like he was like protecting like black women or something. I don't know, but I'm not going to even go into that because I didn't listen to it. But I will say this. He said that he's been dealing with this like that's what you do, like that's what you have to deal with in Hollywood. Well, but
why did you choose that night of all night, like Clay asked? Why did you choose that night of all nights to release that?
Right,
and you had plenty of opportunity. There's been, your name stays trending.
Right,
you and your family, because y'all put yourselves out there.
Exactly.
Why at the Oscars of all nights in the world, this is the one place you wanna release that anger?
Right, because you are supposed to be built and prepped up and know that, hey, these are things I'm gonna have to go through, so I need to know how to act in these situations. For example, I don't like the compare and contrast or whatever, but for example, Carmelo Anthony, I'm gonna just put that out there. LeBron James, they deal with stuff all the time, like crowds or people calling them out their names.
Much worse,
right? Calling them like
everybody's different. Everybody has their own. Everybody has their own threshold, But my thing is this.
But but everybody's different. I do agree with you.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're in the public eye. You're living. Like people put you on this high pedestal that you have to live by. Like you can't do nothing wrong or whatever. So if you know that, then why go out here and slap a grown man in his face and not only embarrass yourself and him,
but your whole family. Now, I will say this along the lines of that. I want black people to stop saying it's like, oh, he just made us all look bad. Why is it that when a black person does something, the whole race looks bad? If Tom Hanks went on stage and slapped the shit out of John Travolta, the white people all white people don't bear that.
Right.
All white people don't bear it. Okay, so now I gotta stop myself, because I just thought about something, because that's it's hypocritical, because when one white person shoots up a school, we put that on the whole race. They're all school shooters, So, but all jokes aside, but I do want people to stop saying that, because when black people do something, no, they did not set the whole race back. First of all, they didn't set us back 100 years. Right. That wasn't a situation between Chris Rock and Will Smith, and partially Jada Pinkett Smith. But that has nothing to do with any. But that's all I had to say on that.
Right. And I agree. Like that's a mistake he made. He bears that. I'm no kin to him.
Yeah, we don't wear that scarlet letter because of what they You know,
Right.
because of their altercation.
Exactly. It's
So
not affecting my family.
let
or
me
anything
ask you this as we get ready to close out. Do you think? And I'm not even going to ask. Well, actually, I'll ask this for both of them. Do you think that this situation hurt either of their careers?
No, because you know how they always say all publicity is good publicity, and Chris Rock has had like shows since then. They gave him more material. They gave him something more to talk about because we all know like we go to comedy shows or watch comedy because it's real life on stage. So they talk about like real life things and just make it like spin it in a funny way. But they talk about real life situations. So you know this is gonna be good for Chris because he has more material.
Right.
And Will, he's doing that. You know, he's not doing any interviews about the altercation, and he's going to the Red Table Talk to talk about it. So that's going to bring more viewers for his wife's show.
Because people want to hear about it.
Right.
And you know what? One of the things that I notice is that in today's world, we live in a microwave world. We want it all now, but just as fast as we want it, it goes away. It's a topic, and it's going to be a topic right now for a couple weeks, maybe in a couple months. But it will get overshadowed by. It's going to get overshadowed by something. Okay, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. How quickly did we forget that Russia still invaded Ukraine?
Saying. Like, it's crazy how
we forgot all about that. That's a world event that's possibly about to put us on the brink of World War III. And how quickly, you know, but overall, no, I know, right? You know, for us, but how quickly did the world, or at least, you know, in the entertainment world, did that get overshadowed?
Right.
Because one man slapped another man, we forgot all about that. Russia has invaded Ukraine. So I do think that. Did this hurt their career? Hell no. And people talking, oh, this damaged his reputation. No, it didn't. Because the same people that supported him Saturday morning supported him Monday morning. And I can say that from experience because I'm still a huge Will Smith fan. I've never really been too much of a Chris Rock fan of his comedy, and even the day after, there wasn't that sympathy factor or whatever. Like, oh, okay, now I'm a fan of his comedy. Hell no, I'm still not a fan of his comedy. I like him in movies, and I'll continue to see Chris Rock movies. But I'm a huge Will Smith fan, and I will continue to be so. I just think that was a dick move on that part. I think it could have been handled better, but I don't think his career will hurt. He's Will Smith.
If he had got arrested or went to jail, like served some time, I think that would have hurt his career. Just like how they do the NFL players, they do stupid stuff, like they get arrested. But I think the only reason it it's not going to affect Will's career is because there were no real consequences, as if it was a regular guy. And that's the part that I hate, because I hope like some of us regular dudes that see him do this, like, oh, if somebody disrespect me or my wife, this is what I'm supposed to do. When they do that, they don't understand that because you're not in the same tax bracket as Will, you're gonna have consequences to your action, the immediate consequences. I know they was talking about they were doing some kind of 15-day evaluation for Will, what the academy was gonna do to him and all this stuff. Yeah, you got the easy road out. If that was me going up there and slapping Chris Rock, I'll still be in bars right now, not doing this podcast. And then of course there's going to be some consequences after I get my trial. Right. So I just that's the thing. There's not going to be any consequences for Will because there were no upfront consequences.
Right. And I feel that, you know, this in no way, shape, or form has hurt or tarnished their reputation or anything like that. They're still making, they've already had millions upon millions of dollars, and then they're also on top of that making more money because, I mean, like you just said, Clay, he had Chris Rock had a couple shows already, and people said that he was going to talk about the whole situation, but he said he was going to hold back, and I guess he was going to.
I don't know. You saved that for your next tour.
You make a special, HBO special,
and then capitalize on it.
Right, and then Will Smith is not talking to any news reporters or anything like that. He's saving it for the Red Table Talk or whatever.
Yeah, so if I am going to talk about it, at least let me do it on my terms and where I get paid for.
Right, and that's why
for your benefit.
And that's why I kind of felt like it was phony. Like, this is, you know, a way for both of them to get money or whatever,
and the Oscars to get more views.
Right, exactly. So
because now we want to know who's gonna get smacked next year.
Right, exactly. It's like, oh man, we got to tune in.
Snap trade.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, for me, I love both. Will Smith is an awesome actor. Chris Rock is an awesome entertainer, a comedian. Why am I going to stop, you know, supporting them just because of something like that?
Yeah, y'all know my feelings.
And my thing is, before you even continue, it's crazy how people are ready to throw both of them to the side, but then y'all can sit up here and support R. Kelly for his music. And
hold up, because
I'm serious.
Yeah.
I mean, people,
it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing.
But you know what it made me think of? Because you remember when they used to have the hip hop awards, and every year somebody got to fighting.
Okay, that was different.
But listen. You know, every year with some rappers or something fighting, and people watched it because they wanted to see the nonsense. So I think maybe if the Oscars took a bit of that formula, like because they
the Source Awards was like a street brawl all the time.
So they understand that as a culture, we love to see car crashes, we love to see chaos. So that they know that like if something crazy happened, it could boost our ratings. So. Maybe they took a piece of the Source Awards.
I hope not. I hope not because that was one of the reasons why I stopped watching the Source Awards. I was like, what the hell?
I don't even watch war shows anyway.
And I don't either. Actually, and somebody had made a meme about this, but it's so true. If it wasn't for the Will Smith, Chris Rock situation, I wouldn't have known the damn Oscars were on. Yeah. I only knew because Monday morning when I woke up, I saw the memes, and I was like, what happened? So then it made me dive into it or whatever. Because first of all, I was bored. It was 7:00 in the morning. I was getting ready to go into my office, but that was about it. Other than that, I didn't even know the Oscars were on the night before. So and I think that's the same thing for a lot of people. We didn't know the damn Oscars were on. Nobody. I don't think many of the people with most of the opinions watch the awards. We all got secondhand information from memes, from and from clips and things like that. So I don't know. That's just my whole thing on it. I don't think anything's going to happen with either one of their careers. I still support them both. I will close with this because I hate to see two brothers, two black people publicly going at it like that, even though it was just a one-time little situation. I don't want this to escalate. I would love to see those two brothers come together, hash that out, work it out, squash that, be done with it. Because that's not the type of energy and that's not the type of attention that two brothers need. Right. We got enough coming at us in the public eye, and the last thing we need is the talk of the nation to be Chris Rock and Will Smith going at it, or whatever, or any two brothers going at it. That's not what we need, So, and let's do this quickly so that we can move on to another piece of information.
I mean, I'll just say this last thing. Even though if they move on, like people still gonna be on that. But anyway, I mean, I do agree with you 100% on that. So,
that was it, guys. I appreciate y'all. Participating with us and giving us your thoughts on this too. I mean, it's a topic right now that's really popular, and I think it's going to do like any other topic, especially in entertainment news. It's hot today, and it'll be gone. It'll be gone in about a week or so. So we're not going to dwell on it too much. I wish both of those brothers the best. I hope they work that out and squash that. Y'all tune in with us next week as we have a fun episode planned of a Would You Rather. Join us for that. That's going to be pretty fun next week. Until next time, this has been another episode of the After 29 podcast. Peace.
Peace.